Hello guys, welcome to my Cypress automation class from zero to hero. And before we start our lessons, I would like to make a quick review of Cypress versus Selenium because Selenium is the most popular framework for web automation, and I would like to make a comparison of Cypress with Selenium to review main pros and cons so you can decide is it the right framework for you to fit your needs. What are the Cypress pros? So first of all, it's complete framework. So what I mean by that, when you install Cypress, you install everything you need to start writing your test right away. Compared to Selenium, it's not actually a complete framework. Selenium is a library, and with Selenium you will have to decide what programming language to choose. For example, Java or C#. What test framework to choose. It can be TestNG, JUnit or NUnit. You will need to download WebDriver. After that, you will need to set up your framework, to write some custom helpers to be able to use this library efficiently. With Cypress, you don't need to do all that. Everything is included in the framework. Also, it's very fast. Cypress is way more faster than Selenium. The reason behind that is because Cypress uses JavaScript, and JavaScript is the only one native language for the web browser. So when you run a Cypress test, it is executed inside of the browser without using the WebDriver. So your test execution will be as fast as browser can actually render your web page. And Selenium with this comparison definitely not that fast as Cypress. Also, Cypress is more stable because of that, and as I mentioned before, your test is executed inside of the browser in the same run loop, and it don't have dependencies with a WebDriver and browser compatibility. Also, what a good thing about the Cypress that it's not really required a solid programming skills. When you work with Selenium, you most likely will have to be familiar with object-oriented programming languages to be comfortable in configuring your framework. Cypress is based on JavaScript, but writing tests in Cypress, it's not really a programming. It's more of understanding which Cypress commands to call and in which sequence to trigger different browser events. So all you have to learn is just the Cypress rules and how to use Cypress methods. That's pretty much it. Also, Cypress can test and mock APIs, and Selenium do not have this capability. Mocking APIs in Cypress is a very powerful feature where you can configure what API response you are expecting from your backend. It can be very useful to simulate some edge case scenarios like error messages or something like that. So it's built in Cypress and it's very easy to use. And also, Cypress don't really need test environments. So it's considered at best practice when you run your application on the local host and run your test in the same run loop with your application. You can actually configure your app and run it against deployed environment, but it's not required at all. What are the disadvantages and possible cons of the Cypress? Cypress does not support Internet Explorer or Safari, and also it does not support previous version of Microsoft Edge. Initially, when Cypress was released, it supported just Chrome browser and Electron browser based on Chromium agent. But starting with Cypress of version 4, which was released in the beginning of 2020, now it supports Mozilla Firefox and Microsoft Edge browser, which is on the Chromium engine. Also, Cypress code is asynchronous, and if you are coming from the world of object-oriented languages like Java or C#, you probably will be confused in the beginning how Cypress works, because some of the techniques you got used to will not work in Cypress, and you will have to learn some new approach how to deal with synchronous code. Cypress do not support testing on the mobile devices or on the mobile emulators. What you can do is to test just responsive design in the browser, but you cannot actually test on the mobile devices like you can do with Selenium and Appium, for example. Cypress also limited to run the test only for the single domain or for the single tab. For example, if you are testing, let's say, Microsoft.com and you are clicking on some link and navigating to Skype.com, Cypress will block this navigation across domains. It's not allowed to do that. Similar way is for the single tab. In Selenium, you can switch between the tabs. For example, if you click on the link and browser open a new window, and in Selenium you can switch to this window and then make some operations over there. In Cypress you cannot do this. There is some workarounds when you can access the content of this new tab, but you will not be able to perform any actions on that tab. So keep that in mind as well. And if your application has multiple domains during the test execution, or it may have multiple tabs during the test case scenario, this also might be a limitation for you. And it's not really friendly with iframes. So in Selenium, there is a workaround. You can access the iframes and access content of that. In Cypress, there are also possible solutions how to deal with iframes, but also, again, it's not really friendly. And if your application has iframes, you have to double check if you can manage this with Cypress. So this is pretty much it, guys. I hope this comparison helps you to get understanding of the key differences between Cypress and Selenium and help you to decide what framework to choose. Thank you, guys, and see you in the next lesson.